Okay, well, hello to you guys, and welcome to the presentation. Oh, good. So Bill hears music. Beautiful, beautiful on Spreaker. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. All right, great. So we have a lot of folks on. We are having some little technical. Wait. I guess it would be better if I just pushed the button there. I forgot to push the hello button. All right, everybody. So hello and welcome to the presentation. Thank you so much for being here. I am Bishop James Long, and it's spooky season. It's Halloween spooky season. And we were having some problems last night with our Spreaker. Oh, great. So it looks like they fixed Spreaker. Yay. So tonight we will have night prayer on Spreaker tonight and TikTok. We had some problems on Spreaker last night, and I was ready to throw Spreaker right out that window. But anyway, it looks like it's up and running. And so that's a good thing. That is a great thing. Thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate that. All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to the presentation. Happy Friday to you, wherever you are, wherever you're doing this. Good, excellent. Whatever you guys are doing here, hopefully you're having a great weekend. You're going to have a good weekend. We have some good, fun, exciting things planned. And if not, that's okay. You're here. Good. We're here. You're here, and I appreciate you guys spending some time with us. All right, so let's get into first the business part of the show. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. By the way, it's Halloween. It's Halloween season. Yep. So we're going to talk a little bit about Halloween, a lot about Halloween, and I really am looking forward. Well, thank you there, Trina. And I'm looking forward to this presentation. Hopefully you are as well. So here is the business part of our presentation. I would like for you to please go to a wonderful website. It's called KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. KGRADB.com. They are, we use their StreamYard platform. They also let us use it for open mic and Bible studies. So we appreciate them very much. So therefore, to show our appreciation to them, go on over there. If you love the paranormal like I do, okay, well, if you think that Halloween is demonic, then you can go away. But anyway, Halloween is demonic. It's the devil. You're talking the okay, all right, okay. But anyway, if I was really interrupted, I want you to make sure that you go over there and make sure you subscribe. Okay, subscribe. Because if you subscribe, you're going to get 30% off your subscription, 30% off. And that's going to be fun. And look, I love the paranormal, and hopefully you do as well. And they have some great shows. And I am truly honored to be one of the shows that airs at that website. So it's called KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. But put Bishop as your promo code. 30% off. You got to do it. Because sometimes when you're just in the mood for a good paranormal show or a podcast, and you're looking around, you're like, well, no, that's boring. No, that's boring. They have some. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be very blunt. If I did not like KGRADB, or if I didn't think it was a top quality format, I wouldn't be on it. I just wouldn't. And that's primarily because I spent over 20 years, trying to build some type of integrity in my ministry, and I'm not going to associate myself with any organization that's kind of shady or that doesn't produce top quality shows. And they do. And also, now I want you to go to my website if you want to. It's bishopjameslong.long.com. bishopjameslong.long.com. Now, there are free paranormal classes for you if you want to learn paranormal, demonology, angelology, and paranormal study. 4 classes. My brain said, see you later. I'm going on vacation. It's the weekend. So if you want to genealogy, so if you want to learn all 4 classes, you can, and they are free. Now there's a lot. I'll tell you, this took about 9 months to put together. There was a lot of work to put. It was a full time. I put tremendous amount of hours into this because I think it's important to educate people because I think education is crucial. So if you love the paranormal, if you love demonology, angelology, genealogy, go over there, Bishop James Long. Click on the class link, and if you do that, folks, you're going to get 4 classes for free. Now, I used to charge. It was only $12.50 a class, but you know what? The trolls got nasty. I said, you know what, trolls? Let me show you something. And that's why I decided to give it away. So there it is. All you got to do. I got to take that donations link off because I need to take that off. Anyway, you don't have to donate to enroll in the class. You don't have to do that. You can just go ahead and click to request enrollment. And it's all on Facebook, a Facebook private group. You don't have to click on donations to enroll in the class. They're free. We just did that in case, we were asking people to help, just help us out, help the church. And if you want to, now we have over 300 people that have signed up for the class, which is wonderful. And we were at one time asking for donations, $50 or something like that, but it doesn't matter. Just don't worry about pushing the donations to enroll in the class. Don't worry about that. Just click to request to enroll in Bishop Long's demonology, paranormal, and angel, blah, blah, blah. Just go ahead, just do it. Enjoy it. It's for you. You learn at your own pace. And it's very in-depth. There's a lot of information for you. Okay, so just click on the class link. Also, and this is important, folks, if you are having issues in your home and you're wanting me to help you for free, then this is what you have to do. You have to click on the paranormal link. Okay, so people are still slamming me with, TikTok and Facebook, and then calling the number. Please don't call the number on my website for paranormal help because that's not what it's for. I don't answer it. It doesn't go to me. So there is a booking link, and the booking link clearly says on my website, if you would like to book Bishop Long at your next paranormal convention or like for him to appear on your next online podcast, please call this number. And please note, this number is only for those who wish to book Bishop Long for a conference or online show. Bishop Long does not answer the phone. And if you're seeking his help with the paranormal activity, click on the paranormal link. People are still calling that number and leaving a message, even though it's very clear, don't call that number. Because I can't help you, because it doesn't go to me. So basically, when you call that number and you leave a message for me to help, you're wasting time. So if people sometimes think that's going to cut corners and, well, this will get to him, it won't. So you got to follow instructions, because if we're doing this for free, then I think we have the right to say, follow these procedures. And it's very simple. So if you call that number and you leave a message for me to help you with a case, it's not going to be answered. It's just not. Well, that's mean. I'm doing this for free. So we can put the simple requirements. All right. So make sure, if you are having issues in your home, and all you got to do is click on the paranormal link. So if you click on the paranormal link, it says, please contact us for assistance. So the Society of St. Benedict, you click on contact the Society of St. Benedict. And there's an email that comes up. I just did it. And you send it. Abbot Tommy is the owner of the Society of St. Benedict. Send him the information. This is what's going on. This is where I am, et cetera, et cetera. And then he'll get back with you. But I think people are just kind of, they want it now. And I understand, but folks, remember, we are blasted with requests for help. So it doesn't, just follow the procedure. If you want us to do it for free, which we do, just follow the procedure. It may take a day or 2 or 3 to get back with you, and that's okay, because we have other ministries. So anyway, because I have right now, I was sent a message. There is 121 people who've left a message, an unanswering machine on that 531 number. And I'm like, folks, don't do that, because I can't help you. It doesn't go to me. So anyway, because I want to help you. And oh no, I'm good. What I get stressed out about is that I can't help people because they're not following instructions. And that bothers me, because I want to help people. This is what I do. This is the ministry I've done for over 20 years. So what they do is they slow the process down, and then they get upset. So that's why. So, okay. So again, last thing, bishopjameslong.com, click on the paranormal link, send the email. I need help. This is where I'm located. This is how you can contact me. And the folks on the Society of St. Benedict will contact you. Simple, easy peasy. Now, the last thing, the church's website is usocc.org. I don't charge. That's the thing. I don't charge at all. And that's why we're strict about, well, if we're not going to charge and we're going to pay for this out of our own pocket, then people need to at least follow the instructions so that I can help for free. So, okay, the church's website is usocc.org. Oh, well, thank you, Nicole. So usocc.org. Now, tonight we do have night prayer. I will be on TikTok live tonight, 9:50 p.m. Eastern Standard. I will go live on TikTok. And make sure, if you're on TikTok and you're going to be at a night prayer tonight, make sure you go to my profile, because I did post a video saying, place your prayer request in the comments below before 8 p.m. Eastern for tonight's night prayer. So make sure you go there now. If you have any prayer requests that you want us to include tonight, you got to go to my profile. You got to go to that video and you got to put your prayer request in the comments. And that way we can take a screenshot. And there we go. So that's tonight at 9:50. We go live again on TikTok. And then 9:45, we go live on Spreaker. Hopefully, what our prayer requests. Prayer requests is, Janine, is like, if, for example, if you ask us to pray for you or pray for a loved one, or if you need help with something, or if you're stressed out, whatever it might be, and you say, hey, look, can you pray for it? That's a prayer request. So that's a good question. Yep. And Julianne just reminded me, don't forget, next weekend, I'm going to be at Arkansas Paranormal Expo. So if you are in the area, make sure you go to arkansasparanormalexpo.com, because if you do, come on over. And there's going to be some great speakers there. I'm honored to be a part of it. It is a fundraiser for the MacArthur Military Museum, which I'm a huge supporter of, our first responders and military and our men and women who bravely serve. And so I'm so honored to be a part of this. So next weekend, I'm going to be there. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday, and I will be giving a presentation. And so come on over, arkansasparanormalexpo.com. It's going to be a lot of fun, and looking forward to that. Now, I will be live next Friday. So I will be going live. I just checked the laptop, and the laptop is decent enough to run, I think, for a StreamYard. I think we'll be okay. I'm just not going to, break down my computer like I did last time, because that was a bit much. It was a bit much. All right. It does. Yeah. Well, not within in the old Catholic Church, Nicole. If you want to become a Benedictine, you can become a Benedictine with our community. And it does not take that long. So if you would like to do that, Nicole, or anybody, if you have a calling to be a Benedictine, I'm a Benedictine. That's what this lapel pin is here. This lapel pin is a Benedictine. We can't really see it. Is a Benedictine lapel pin. So I'm a Benedictine. And you can do that, and you can be married, but we don't live together. We're not cloister. We're not in a monastery. But if you want to, go to usocc.org and click on vocations. Fair enough. All right, let's get into our exciting presentation for this evening, because we have a lot to go over and a lot to cover, and I'm looking forward to it. Truly am. And tomorrow we're going to be here. Don't forget, we'll be here tomorrow for open mic night. Looking forward to that. It's just a fun time. And then this Sunday, we'll have our Bible study, as we normally do. All right. I put sub chat only on TikTok, and I'll open it up later on for everybody else. Halloween. Halloween, there's a lot of people who immediately want to think that Halloween is all demonic, it's all evil. It's anybody who is, it gets involved with Halloween is doing the work of the devil. And I think people go to such extremes. It just, I don't know why. To me, it's sad. When I was growing up, I absolutely, my family participated in Halloween events. And we had haunted houses. We talked about this not too long ago, but I really thought that I wanted to go into deeper with the traditions, with trick-or-treating, with pumpkins, with witches, with how did all this come about? Because we briefly talked about Halloween, the history of Halloween, not too long ago. But because Halloween is right around the corner, I really think it's important that we have a conversation about it. because so many people are slamming people, and I'm seeing this all online, and then harassing people because they celebrate Halloween. Look, here's the deal. My family was a relatively conservative family. I grew up Roman Catholic, and we always celebrated Halloween. So my parents' son happens to be clergy and an exorcist. I don't worship Satan, and none of I mean my family, except for my sister Shannon, who passed away, who turned her life around. We're all Christians, so it's just kind of like I think we have to slow down with, oh, everybody who does this, you're doing the work of Satan. No, we're not. No, we're not. So let's talk about this so you guys can get an idea, because I think it's important when people start attacking, if you celebrate Halloween, you need to know the history of it. Well, thank you very much. And you also need to be able to explain. This is not crazy. It's not evil. And by the way, for those of you who are offering gifts on TikTok, if I don't thank you individually, I apologize. It's just sometimes I don't see it because I have two different computers running. So thank you for all those who offer gifts, for sharing. Thank you on TikTok. All right. I think we should get into some spooky music with this, don't you think? What do you think there, Mr. Producer? I think we should do that. Royalty free, royalty free, royalty free. You have to say that, because if you don't, it's like, oh my gosh. So we'll have a royalty free Halloween music. Again, this is royalty free. All right. So tonight's lecture on the fascinating history of Halloween. So as we approach this spooky season, I think it's a perfect time to delve into the origins and evolution of this beloved holiday. So over this hour of 45 minutes or so, we're going to explore the ancient roots of Halloween, its transformation throughout the centuries, and customs and traditions associated with it. So let's embark on this thrilling journey into the past. So our story actually begins thousands of years ago with the Celtic festival known as Samhain. Now, or Samhain. Folks, it's not Samhain. That's incorrect. That was actually used by a lot of people, especially in movies. It's not Samhain, it's Samhain. So Samhain marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of the winter in the Celtic calendar, which was celebrated on the night of October 31st. And it was believed that on this night, the boundary between the living and the dead were blurred, and spirits could freely roam the earth. To ward off malevolent spirits and honor the deceased, the Celts, they lit bonfires and wore costumes made from animal skins. They also left food and offerings outside their door to appease the spirits. So this ancient festival laid the foundation for many of the customs that actually we associate with Halloween today. So with the spread of Christianity, the Celtic festival of Samhain underwent a transformation. So in the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November the 1st as All Saints' Day, also known as All Hallows' Day. So the night before Halloween, of course, October 31st, it was known as All Hallows' Eve, which eventually became Halloween. So the Christian influence brought new elements to the celebration. The practice of honoring saints and martyrs on All Hallows' Day emerged with existing Celtic customs. So the tradition of souling, Souling, emerged, where people would go to door, offering prayers for the deceased in exchange for food or money. Now, the practice later evolved into the modern day tradition of trick-or-treating. I love history. That to me is really fascinating. So let's talk about Halloween in America. Well, the history of Halloween in America is intertwined with the arrival of Irish and Scottish immigrants in the 19th century. And they brought their Halloween traditions with them, including the carving of turnips or pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns. See, the use of pumpkins, it became popular due to their abundance and the influence of Native American harvest traditions. So by the early 20th century, Halloween had transitioned into a community-centered holiday with parades and parties and now iconic costumes. So the emphasis shifted from religious and supernatural elements to more a secular celebration for both children and adults. So the modern day Halloween, let's have that conversation. In the mid 20th century, Halloween became more commercialized and influenced by popular culture. So the rise of mass media, including movies and television, played a significant role in shaping Halloween as we know it today. So, for those of you just joining us, I'm Bishop James Long, and we're talking about the history of Halloween. And we're going to go also in more in depth in all the other details because I think it's so important to give you just a history lesson and talk about it. Because if you don't know the history, then you don't understand why we celebrate it. Well, classic horror films, such as those featuring vampires and werewolves and zombies, inspired countless costumes and decorations. Trick or treating became a widespread tradition. And we've already talked about that, where that come from, souling. So trick or treating, obviously, where children go door to door in their neighborhoods, dressed in costumes, while collecting candy. Now they don't do souling anymore. Again, for those of you, souling is going around, and they would offer prayers for the deceased, and they would get treats for that. Well, we don't do that anymore. Kids just running around trick or treat. So Halloween parties, haunted houses, and even festive events have all become the integral parts of the modern celebration that we know today as Halloween. Now, this Halloween, we're talking about globally, it certainly does have its global influence. While Halloween is most commonly associated with Western countries, its popularity has actually spread globally. What's interesting, because in recent years, and this is really interesting because you wouldn't think, especially with culture, but in recent years, Halloween has gained traction in various parts of the world, including Asia and Latin America. However, each culture, incorporates its own unique costumes, which is fine. So the ancient origins of Halloween, as mentioned earlier, it's the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, and it played a significant role in laying the foundation for Halloween. So remember, the Celts, who, by the way, who inhabited areas of present-day Ireland, the United Kingdom, and France, celebrated this day on the night of October 31st. It was a festival, a huge festival, because it marked the end of the harvest season and also the beginning of winter. And that was also known as the Celtic New Year. Now, to go deeper as far as spirituality, the Celts actually believe that on the night of Samhain, the boundaries between the world of the living and the world of the dead were blurred. This is why a lot of people, this is where it comes from, where people say about the veil, the spiritual veil between the living and the dead is thinnest during Halloween. Well, now you know where that comes from. And they believed, the Celts, they believed that the spirits of the deceased, they would return to earth along with other supernatural entities. And this belief led to customs and rituals for the sole purpose of appeasing and then warding off some of these spirits. So bonfires played a central role in Samhain celebrations. See, the Celts would light huge, gigantic bonfires to provide warmth and light during the long, dark winter nights. And these fires were also believed to have a protective and cleansing powers of driving away evil spirits. No, it's always 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Oh, yep, always 7 p.m. Eastern. So people would gather around the bonfires wearing costumes made from animal skins and even heads. That's why you see the mask, and engage in various rituals and practices to ward off these evil spirits. And additionally, the Celts would leave food offerings outside their doors to pacify the wandering spirits, because they believed that if you didn't offer something and you didn't put it on, the porch or something, then that spirit would get angry and could come into your home. So they believed that providing these offerings, they could ensure the goodwill of the spirits, protect their homes and crops from any evil. This was really, in this time, this was taken quite seriously. This is, we think about it now, we think of superstitions. Okay, fine. But it was deeply embedded in the culture. So they would leave food out to appease the spirits. Now you know why we pass out the food to these monsters who are running around and walking around, and you give them food for them to go away. This is where the trick-or-treating started. So the concept, I think it's great. So this belief that the veil between the worlds was so thin that the Celts actually believed it was possible to gain insights even into the future. So, and this will happen quite often, especially divination. So let me explain this. So people would participate in various divination practices because they believed during this month there was so much that you could do as far as spiritually and metaphysically. They certainly believed that you were able to tell the future. These practices, divination practices like apple bobbling, for those of you who don't know, it's try to catch apples with your teeth in a basin of water. It's kind of gross now if you think about it. I mean, really, people just gobble. Anyway, but in this time, a lot of people participated in apple bobbing or even mirror gazing. So mirror gazing is you would look in the mirror and the lights would all be turned off and you would have candles and you would just simply gaze. Then you would think about whatever it is that you were wanting an answer to, and you would see this alleged vision, if you will, into this mirror. They also perform rituals to predict marriage proposals or fortunes. You have to remember that in this time, the culture was very different than ours. So they would do these rituals to find out, okay, am I going to marry this man who has four crops, or if I'm going to marry this man who has 20 crops? So when the Romans conquered the Celtic territories, their own festivals began to merge with Samhain. And one such festival was Feralia. Now, Feralia, that was held in late October to honor the dead. Another was Pomona. And we get the association of apples with Halloween, thank you, as a symbol of the harvest. So it's important to note that the details of these ancient Celtic celebrations and rituals, they're not extensively documented. And unfortunately, our understanding of them is based on limited historical accounts and folklore. But through these ancient traditions and beliefs, that the roots of Halloween, as we know it today, began to take shape here. And so now let's explore Christianity and how it influenced the evolution. Let's go deeper and how it influenced the evolution of Halloween and the emergence of new practices. So there was a tremendous amount of influence on Christian influence on Halloween. So you got the history now of Halloween, how this came about. In the 8th century, what happened is the Catholic Church sought to Christianize pagan festivals and customs, including the Celtic festival of Samhain. So Pope Gregory III, as I mentioned, designated November the 1st as All Saints' Day. That's known as All Hallows' Day, to honor saints and martyrs who did not have a specific feast day. So the evening before, so October 31st, came to be known as All Hallows' Eve. Again, as I mentioned, that's where we get Halloween. And by aligning the new Christian holiday with the existing pagan festival, the church aimed to provide a religious alternative and transform the meaning of the celebration. Basically, the intent was to shift the focus from pagan beliefs and practices to Christian context. And with the introduction of All Hallows' Eve, Christian elements began to intertwine with existing customs and traditions. For example, as I mentioned, the practice of souling. So for those, again, don't know what souling is, who just tuning in, souling is when people went around to house to house to house. So poor Christians would go door to door. It was primarily, to be honest, poor Christians. And they would go door to door and they would offer prayers for the dead in exchange for soul cakes. Soul cakes, they were small, round cakes, and they were made with spices and other things. And so they would be paid in that. So this practice later evolved into the modern day tradition of trick-or-treating. And during the medieval period, mumming or guising also became associated with All Hallows' Eve. So mumming involved wearing costumes and masks while performing plays or songs, often with themes of death and the afterlife. And guising referred to the practice of dressing up in disguises and going from house to house, singing or performing in exchange for food or other treats. So as Halloween continued to evolve, new Christian traditions and customs became intertwined. And that's why I talk about souling and other things of this nature. And basically, the church attempted to Christianize Halloween because the belief in supernatural beings, such as ghosts, witches, other spirits, it continued to be a part of the Halloween folklore and celebrations. So Christian influence was very heavy on, obviously, Halloween. Now, if you want to know specifically, well, thank you very much, Kelly. If you want to know specifically about America and Halloween, it actually can be traced all the way back to the mid 19th century. As I mentioned, with the Irish and Scottish immigrants, because they brought their own traditions and customs, and that merged, thank you, with American harvest tradition. For those of you, I keep saying thank you. People are offering gifts on TikTok. You don't see this because it's on a different computer. Oh, well, thank you very much for the RCD. Thank you for the universe. Thank you. So Irish immigrants, by the way, they played a significant role in how we perceive Halloween today. So as I mentioned, they are the ones who brought the carving of the turnips, potatoes into lanterns. They also did often depicting faces or scary figures. They placed them in windows or outside of their homes, not for decoration, but rather to ward off evil spirits. Isn't it interesting how we do that now? And we don't even think about, putting a pumpkin up to ward off evil spirits. But that just goes to show about how culture is so different and why we do things. And because the availability of pumpkins was so widespread in America, it led to the shift from turnips to pumpkins for carving. And this is where we get jack-o'-lanterns. And in the 19th century, Halloween America was primarily, it became a community-centered holiday rather than more of a spiritual one. Because, neighbors would get together and have games and things of this nature. And in the 19th and 20th centuries, Halloween parties and parades became commonplace. People started dressing in costumes and it became commercialized. And Halloween began obviously in the 20th century with the production of Halloween-themed postcards, decorations, costumes. And the holiday started to appeal to a broader audience, to children and adults. So the emphasis actually shifted away from the religious aspect to a more secular celebration, focused on community and fun, creativity. And as I talked about, trick-or-treating, as we know today, it also emerged during this time. And because it came from souling, which is really quite interesting. And we see this even in the 1930s and 40s, and over the years, Halloween became deeply ingrained in American culture. Even today, there's costume parties, haunted houses, pumpkin carvings, festive events. And in recent times, Halloween has actually expanded even beyond its traditional boundaries. I can't go live with you guys. It became a global celebration, each culture often incorporating its own unique customs. So for those of you who are wanting to go live with me on TikTok, I can't. I run the show on two different computers. They won't hear or see you. So there's a lot of modern day customs and traditions now with Halloween. So modern Halloween has evolved into a vibrant, a diverse celebration. There's a lot of activities and customs. So obviously we know well, thank you. We know costumes and dressing up. One of the most recognizable aspects of Halloween is the tradition of wearing costumes. I wore costumes when I was a kid. I'm not a Satanist. I didn't worship Satan at this time. We just had a good time. We know trick-or-treating. Although now, trick-or-treating has become, at least in a lot of places, has become less active, at least here where I am. I think primarily because of the fear. Because it has become, when I was growing up, I don't know about you guys, but when I was growing up, there was always that fear that someone would place razors in the apples. So that was always something to think about. But we really, as a kid, we didn't think too much about it because we always trick-or-treat around in our neighborhood and we all knew each other. So we didn't go to any stranger house. So that there was never a fear with trick-or-treating with that ever, because we always went to people, we and see that, yeah, is, Jennifer says, see that, and that's interesting because that didn't happen until later on, I think when I was in my 20s or so. I think that's when they started X-raying candy. Isn't it sad? To me, we didn't do it when I was a kid. We didn't think of that. That was never even something that entered our mind to X-ray candy. But now you have to. Now you have to. So jack-o'-lanterns are still doing it, and now you can just go out and buy. Matter of fact, here's a jack-o'-lantern right behind me. You guys can't see it. It was actually one of the props that was used on Halloween. Yeah. So this is of course now you can buy them, and they have candles in them. Some don't. There's still a lot of harvest and fall festivities, and because it's alignment with the fall festival and harvest celebration. So many communities organize fall festivals, hay rides, apple picking. Not so much the apple bobbling anymore. Decorations and home display. A lot of people from spider webs, bats, skeletons, witches, ghost schools, and homes and neighborhoods are transformed into spooky spectacles. There's a lot of cultural influence. This is really important as Halloween has become more global. Different cultures have contributed their own customs and traditions. For example, Dia de los Muertos, which is Day of the Dead in Mexico and other Latin American countries, has influenced Halloween celebrations with its vibrant sugar skulls, basically remembrance of deceased loved ones. And even Asian countries have adopted, some parts have adopted Halloween, but they blended in with their own culture, which is fine too. Again, yeah, I think it's one of those fun things. Yeah, for those of Dia de los Muertos it's originated in Mexico, celebrated throughout Latin America, and it's a colorful festival. I've never seen it. I was in Chicago studying for the priesthood, and they have a very powerful Hispanic culture and community there. And I was able to see one of these festivals, and really colors everywhere. And it coincides with Halloween. But from their perspective, it's there to honor and remember the deceased loved ones. And All Saints Day, I talked about All Saints Day and even All Souls Day in many Catholic countries, Spain, Italy, Philippines. All Saints Day, even the United States, is November the 1st. All Souls Day is November the 2nd. And they are very important holidays because they're dedicated to honoring and remembering the dead. In some regions, these traditions are intertwined with Halloween, resulting in unique celebrations, which is pretty interesting. Now, there are, as I mentioned, Asian festivals with Halloween. So in recent years, this is recent, Halloween gained popularity in various Asian countries, although with their own cultural influences. Like, for example, in Japan, Halloween is celebrated with costume parties, parades, themed events, but it also incorporates elements of Japanese folklore and anime culture. And even in South Korea, Halloween has become a festive occasion with costume parties and events, often influenced by K-pop and Korean pop culture. We talked about the Celtic and European traditions because that's where really Halloween, the origins lie in Celtic traditions. And it still does. In Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, they still practice bonfires, costumes, storytelling. It's still very big. They still do trick-or-treating over there, and which is fine. And I think it's important to remember that while Halloween has gained popularity globally, the specific customs and traditions, it may vary from country to country, and there's nothing wrong with that because we learn. I think Halloween remains a fascinating and even a beloved holiday. It connects people with a shared sense of wonder, imagination, the thrill of the spooky season. And I get it. I know some people don't like it because they think it's just demons, 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 and I just disagree. I think we have to relax a little bit with that. So we talked about the history of Halloween. We've already done that. By the way, for those of you who love history, in AD 43, remember I talked about the Roman Empire actually conquered the majority of the Celtic territory. So in the course of 400 years, they ruled the Celtic lands. And two festivals of the same origin were combined with the traditional Celtic celebration of Samhain. So that's where that's how old this ancient tradition is. And when you see, as far as in America, as far as Halloween, the celebration of Halloween was extremely limited in the colonial New England, obviously because of the very rigid Protestant belief systems. Halloween at that time was really common in Maryland and even in the southern colonies, but as the New England, not so much so. So as it continued to grow, then they became a little bit more receptive to it. In the second half of the 19th century, America was flooded with new immigrants. And this is where we start seeing the Irish potato famine. So it helped popularize the celebration of the Halloween nationally. We talked about trick-or-treating, Halloween parties. It really actually by the 1920s and 30s, Halloween had become a secular but community-centered activity. So this is where we see a lot of the Halloween parties. And despite the best efforts of many schools and communities, vandalism began to plague some celebrations in many communities, unfortunately. And in the 1950s, town leaders had successfully limited vandalism, and Halloween then evolved into a holiday directed mainly at the young. That's fine again. And because a lot of young kids in the 50 baby boomers parties moved from town civic centers to the classroom or home to where they could be more easily accommodated. And that's where we see trick-or-treating really started picking up in the 1920s to the 1950s. That's really where it started picking up. So Halloween movies, when did this begin? Well, Halloween scary movies are not new at all. Did you know, this is really fascinating. For those of you who like scary movies, and I didn't know this. I didn't know this is pretty ancient. I knew that it was old, but the earliest movie that we have as far as scary came in 1896. No, 1896. It's called The House of the Devil. It was a French silent film, and it was the world's first horror movie. And it was thought to be lost until a copy was found in 1988 in the New Zealand Film Archive. A little nerdy information for you because I'm a nerd and I love history. But that was actually in 1896. So if you're a horror movie fanatic, there it is. Check it out. 1896. It is silent film, and it's called The House of the Devil. Yep. Yeah, isn't that pretty cool? And also, now, 1920. In 1920, The Phantom Melody came out. The Phantom Melody. That was the first horror movie by Universal, which, by the way, later became famous for the Universal Classic Monster franchise, which I think that's really cool. Because if you look at, I love the old Universal Classic Monster movies. I love them. I love them. There's something special. But when I grew up, I watched them. I remember watching them as a kid. Dracula, 1931. Frankenstein, 1931. The Mummy, 1932. The Invisible Man. I didn't really like The Invisible Man, but The Invisible Man, 1933. The Bride of Frankenstein, 1935. And The Wolfman, 1941. These were classic movies. So these are Universal Classic Monsters. I'm all about it. I love the Universal Classic Monster film. The franchise, fantastic. Now, Nosferatu. I watched it. I was like, yeah. But anyway, for those of you who don't know, that came out in 1922. So we're talking about Halloween movies. So that came out in 1922. And it was the first filming of the Dracula story, although unofficial and unauthorized. It's kind of like, eh. But by the way, for those of you who don't know, they are making a new Nosferatu. So those of you who don't know this, that looks pretty interesting. That's going to be pretty cool. And of course, we all know. Here's what's interesting. If a little some more history for you, in 1928, there's a movie called The Terror. The Terror. This was actually the first all talking horror movie with sound. So it's called The Terror, 1928. It was the first all talking horror movie with sound. And then, of course, 1931. 1931, that is Dracula. Which, by the way, Doug, I have a picture of Bela Lugosi. That's autographed picture. Really cool. But that is Dracula. That's a classic movie. That's classic, and that is Bela Lugosi, and of course Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But King Kong, the first movie came out in 1933, and that actually what's interesting about this movie is this was the first giant monster movie. King Kong. I can unplug my microphone. I hope it doesn't mess it up, but I can show you the picture. I can show you the picture if you guys want to see it. The Boris Karloff. He did Frankenstein, and Bela Lugosi, and Boris Karloff. They had some problems. They had some issues. I hope it doesn't mess it up. I hope it. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Oh boy. Hold on. Hope it don't mess it up. If it is, okay. Okay. I hope it doesn't pop. Oh, sorry, Mr. Pumpkin. Didn't mean to hit you. Okay, there we go. Close your ears. All right, I think hopefully it's still working. Just let me know if you guys can hear on. Hopefully I didn't mess up. Sometimes when you unplug it, you have to restart the whole thing. So, but it looks like I'm come through on Spreaker, which is good, and it looks like I'm coming on everybody. So that's good. All right, good. Okay, so here is great. Here is a picture of Bela Lugosi. And there is an autograph. I don't know who the kid is. Someone told me it was his son, but I don't think so. I don't know much about Bela, but that is Bela Lugosi's actual autograph. It's been authenticated. Isn't that pretty cool? Yep. And I'm a horror movie fan. I also have up there, which I can't get right now because I have to unplug it again. I'll show that one day. It's Anthony Hopkins. It's a signed big picture of him with Silence of the Lambs. So maybe I'll have to show that one day, but not right now. Okay. Sorry, I got to plug up my phone because my phone's telling me, hey, your battery's about to die. All right. There we go. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. So yeah, King Kong came out in 1933. And that 1933, that was the very first giant monster movie. And then, of course, it evolved. Frankenstein, someone had talked about Abbott and Costello. That actually came out in 1948. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. And this is the first commercially successful horror comedy movie, which really, I mean, that helps cement the staying of the power of the genre. And it was actually, what's interesting, it was added to the National Film Registry in 2001. Now, with Dracula, with Bela Lugosi, this is the first Dracula movie with sound and the second Universal classic monster movie. So Bela Lugosi, obviously, is the actor who played Dracula, became the typecast as a horror movie villain. This is real unfortunate because Bela Lugosi was actually a very good actor. And regrettably, he was typecast. And he had terrible time getting roles after this. Because Hollywood just typecasted him as one thing. And unfortunately, he had some substance abuse issues. And he made some other really bad movies. And he just, unfortunate. That's just unfortunate. But yeah, it is sad. It's a sad story. It's a sad if you really think about it. But yeah, there's a lot of The Exorcist, of course, 1973. That was the first horror movie nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture. and it was nominated for 10 Academy Awards, winning two. That would kind of well odd if you think about it, because it was so huge when it came out. So it won two Academy Awards: the best adapted screenplay and best sound mixing, and which was kind of odd. But it was selected, by the way, by the Library of Congress in 2010 for preservation for the National Film Archive, or National Film Registry, actually. So yeah, and Jaws came out in 1975, and that was actually the first movie to earn $100 million at the box office. Now, Halloween is, I love Halloween. I love that's where the prop here comes from. This was actually one of the highest, that came in 1978, and that was directed by John Carpenter. It was one of the highest grossing independent movies of all time, and became really the template for other slasher movies. And then well, you mentioned Friday the 13th. Gord, Friday the 13th actually came out in 1980. It's interesting because Friday the 13th, a little bit of I don't know, nerd information for you here, because I love film. Oh, what did I do? Hold on. Sorry, I have to make a lot of noise here. My bad, because this stupid thing popped off. So bear with me, TikTok. Just bear with me for a moment. I know. There we go. Hold on. Okay, so Friday the 13th, it came out in 1980. It was actually currently the longest running horror movie franchise with I think 12 films or something. And Halloween currently it may overtake Friday the 13th. And here there's supposedly more sequels on the way. And actually there's a prequel. There is a prequel to coming out. I believe was it Netflix? It's in Netflix or maybe not Netflix. There's another. What is it? They're coming out with a I forgot what it's called. My brain just said goodbye. Maybe I don't know if it's a Peacock. But anyway, if you guys know, let me know, because I forgot. But anyway, they're coming out with a new prequel. Let me look it up here. Hold on. Friday the 13th prequel. I don't know if it's on Prime. Peacock. Yep. So Friday the 13th at Peacock's. Okay, so let's see what this says here. Hang tight. Okay, so here it is. Here's some information for those of you who love scary movies, and this is by AV Club. Emma Keaties says Crystal Lake series as back as Jason Voorhees at the beginning of Friday the 13th sequel. The Friday the 13th prequel found a new showrunner after Brian Fuller's exit earlier this year. So summer may be on its last legs, but Camp Crystal Lake is just starting to dust off its cabin doors and clean the blood off its picnic tables. Crystal Lake, that's what it's called. Crystal Lake, the previously slashed Friday the 13th prequel from A24, may be as immortal as the franchise central villain. According to Deadline, the series have reportedly found a new showrunner and is back on track after its previously helmer Brian Fuller was booted in May. The new showrunner is Brad Caleb Kane, who has writing and production credits. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So apparently it's coming on, looks like, yep. So it looks like it's still on the go. So Peacock Crystal Lake series was hired. So there we go. So it's still, but anyway, it's coming out. It is coming out. So okay. So anyway, that's a little bit of information as far as scary movies. It's not everything, but it's enough. So Halloween movies, really, with Halloween, it has a long history of being box office hits. The Halloween movies, classic Halloween movies include Halloween franchise. Again, it's based on 1978, the original film directed by John Carpenter, and starring Donald Pleasance, and some other, of course, we know about that. But I think it's it's going to be pretty cool to see that if it actually comes through the Crystal Lake thing. Okay, what about black cats and ghosts? How do they fit in this Halloween? Oh, 2025? Okay. Well, Halloween has always been a holiday filled with mystery and magic, superstition. And as I talked about, it started with the Celtic festival, but today's Halloween ghosts are often depicted as more fearsome and malevolent, and our customs and superstitions are scarier too. So many people avoid crossing paths with black cats, afraid that they might bring us bad luck. This idea has its roots in the Middle Ages, when many people believed that witches avoided detection by turning themselves into black cats. Isn't that insane? It's fascinating to think about how some people actually believe this. And it was serious. This stuff is not, this is no joke. I mean, some people really took this to heart. This was not something that there's like, yeah. No, there was, as a matter of fact, there was even a pope. I can't remember his name. My brain said again goodbye. But there was a pope who actually went to war against black cats. True story. So Pope, let's see. I can't remember his name. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Pope Gregory the Ninth. This is a true state. Folks, listen to this. Pope Gregory the Ninth, the 178th Pope of the Catholic Church from 1227 to 1241, is often remembered for issuing a papal bull declaring that cats bore Satan's spirit, which subsequently led to a huge number of cats being unalived throughout Europe. This is truly insane. A papal bull is a public decree, is a charter issued by the Pope of the Catholic Church. So this was pretty. This is serious stuff. This was not a joke. Yeah, I mean, this actually occurred because of superstition. So before we, yeah. So basically, because this is from History Colored. Where did this come from? So Conrad of Marburg was the papal inquisitor at the time of Pope Gregory the Ninth, and he possessed strong beliefs about cats and used the cats to back his belief that these cats were Satan in a fur coat. The evidence came in the form of confessions. So the people who confessed to Conrad told a very strange story. A confession may have gone something like this. I was on my way home yesterday evening, tired after a long day. I heard a croak. A massive toad, as large as a dog, was standing 10 feet away. It hopped nearer and approached me. Go on, Conrad encouraged. It was unnatural. I've never seen a toad this large, and when it reached me, a pale man appeared. I do not know where that man came from or who he was. He wanted me to kiss him. Yes, kiss him. From that moment on, I forgot all about God and the church. What happened after you met this so-called man? Conrad pressed. This is a true story. Well, we would all go to this black mass where a statue of a large cat came alive as you and I. And we'd all kiss the cat and then in the darkness had fun. And when it was all over, candles were lit and a man emerged. His upper body was blinding like the sun. An unnatural light, you see. His lower body was completely covered in cat's fur. A blessing was read. And the meeting then was over. This actually happened. These type of confessions taken under torture were given to the Pope under torture as evidence showing that cats were in league with the devil. So therefore, cats should be punished. And this led to the Pope declaring war on cats in Europe. And is it? So between 1220, I don't understand. There was a mass extermination of cats by those loyal to the church and the Pope. This was serious. And some historians believe that people unalived, and I believe this this is a real important thing to know. Some historians actually believe that there were so many cats unalived to cause a wave of the plague. Then this led to believe that Satan caused the plague due to being furious that so many of his cats were killed. True story, folks. I mean, that's why the Black Plague of the droppings of rats. But they unalived so many cats that the rats had really no serious predators. So they then believed, this is the devil being angry at us, trying to get back at us because we unalived so many cats. So we can obviously understand this is truly insanity. And by the way, the Pope's war on cats didn't just affect cats, it had a significant effect on people. Because, and what's really frightening is this war seemed to spark a mass witch hunt. Thousands of people, mainly women, were being accused and harassed by neighbors and friends. And a new job actually opened up: witch hunter. So religious people who wanted to prove their loyalty to the church hunted and accused women of witchcraft. And the hunt resulted in unlucky women being tortured and unalived. So the cats were still not safe. So this time the cats were being unalived as a result of witch hunting frenzy. And during the late 1400s, cats were being unalived because they were believed to be witches' familiars, spirits. And it wasn't until the Pope finally excommunicated cats. The Pope excommunicated cats, and then the unaliving stopped. But anyway, the superstition still lives on today. So this is where you get all this nonsense about black cats. And this is where the superstitions and religious superstitions can really cause a lot of problems. But you think about that, that's insanity. That is insanity. But there we go. Yeah, you're right. Poor cats and all because of religious superstition. And that's a shame. Now there were other rituals, by the way, and I'll wrap up here pretty soon. Just on, I'm not going to quit. We still have till 9:00, but some other rituals that occur during Halloween. Listen to this. This is really interesting. But what about the other Halloween traditions and beliefs that today's trick-or-treaters have forgotten all about? Well, believe it or not, there were other rituals. And many of these obsolete rituals focus on the future instead of the past, and focus on the living instead of the dead. In particular, by the way, many of these rituals of Halloween rituals had to do with helping young women identify their future husbands and reassuring them that they would someday, with luck, by next Halloween, be married. Listen to this. This is funny. So it's not funny, but this is a historical. In the 18th century Ireland, a matchmaking cook might bury a ring in her mashed potatoes on Halloween night, hoping to bring true love to the diner who found it. So in Scotland, fortune tellers recommended that an eligible young woman name a hazelnut for each of her suitors, and then toss the nuts into the fireplace. And the nut that burnt to ashes, rather than popping or exploding, the story went, represented the girl's future husband. And by the way, in some versions of the legend, the opposite was true. The nut that burnt away symbolized a love that would not last. Another tale had it that if a young woman ate a sugary concoction made out of walnuts, hazelnuts, and nutmeg, bed on Halloween night, she would dream about her future husband. So young women tossed apple peels over their shoulders, hoping that the peels would fall on the floor in the shape of their future husband's initials. So try to learn about their future by peering, or some people even try to learn about their future by peering at egg yolks floating in a bowl of water, and stood in front of mirrors in darkened rooms, holding candles and looking over their shoulders for their husbands' faces. And this is pretty fascinating. Other rituals were more competitive. At some Halloween parties, the first guest to find a burr on a chestnut hunt would be the first to marry. And at others, the first successful apple bobbler would be the first down the aisle. This is where the apple bobbler. So for those of you who are doing apple bobbler, I hope you understand it's all about superstition, that you're going to be the very first one down the aisle. So the first one who is able to grab, this is really nasty if you think about that. So they would have a bunch of apples. I remember this as a kid. It was really nasty. I never liked it even as a kid. But they would have a bunch of apples in this container or whatever, and with a bunch of water, and you just bob your head in there and try to grab an apple. It is disgusting. I never did because I always thought it was gross. So, but the first person who grabbed the apple would be the first one down the aisle. Of course, whether we're asking for romantic advice or trying to avoid 7 years of bad luck, each one of these Halloween superstitions, it relies on the goodwill of what they believe of the same spirits who, the presence of the early Celts felt so keenly about. But and again, I know people are going to say, well, that's divination, et cetera, et cetera. The point is, I'm just teaching about the history of it. I'm not saying I, you know, agree with any of it. I'm just saying this is a historical lesson. And now you know more about Halloween. There we go. Pretty cool stuff. All right. All right. So that's again, when I do presentations, when I do shows, I like to teach. I know there's a lot of people, especially on TikTok. Sometimes you go onto a TikTok and they just kind of look at the TikTok and just chat. But for me, I like to teach. I like to give you something that maybe you didn't know. Well, thank you very much for the AJ. This does beg a question, though, doesn't it? I found this article the other day, and I definitely want to tell you about it. Listen to this. So this is by it doesn't say who's it by. TK Randall normally. Halloween season is back. But here's the $1 million question. Why do we like scaring ourselves by watching scary movies? Or why do we like Halloween anyway? So that's the question on this article. It's a good question. This is by Sarah Colette. It says here. So Halloween season is back, but why do we like scaring ourselves? Well, thank you there, Jeanine. Well, listen to this. This is fascinating. A psychologist takes a closer look at our fascination with scaring ourselves silly with horror movies and jump scares. And again, for those of you in TikTok, just be kind. Otherwise, if you're not kind, then I'm going to have to put sub chat on back on again. But I want everybody to be able to chat with us on this hour. So just be kind. All right. So Sarah Colette says, fall for me as a teenager meant football games, homecoming dresses, and haunted houses. My friends organized group trips to the local fairground where barn sheds were turned into halls of horror, and masked men nipped at our ankles with chainsaws as we waited in line, anticipating deeper frights to come once we were inside. I'm the only one who loves a good scare, person says. Halloween Attractions Company, America Haunt, estimates Americans are spending upwards of $500 million annually on haunted house entrance fees simply for the privilege of being frightened. And a lot of fright fans don't limit their horror entertainment to spooky season, gorging horror movies, shows, and books all year long. To some people, the preoccupation with horror can seem tone deaf. School, unfortunately, unalivings, all kinds of terrible things, war, the lists of real life horrors are endless. So why seek manufactured fear for entertainment? Thank you. When the world offers real terror in such large quantities. Well, as a developmental psychologist who writes dark thrillers on the side, she says, I find the intersection of psychology and fear intriguing. To explain what drives this fascination with fear, I point to the theory that emotions evolved as a universal experience in humans because they help us survive. Creating fear and otherwise safe lives can be enjoyable. Now, this is the psychologist says, and is a way for people to practice and prepare for real life dangers. That's interesting. So this is a developmental psychologist. It talks about why we like to scare ourselves. Well, one, she says fear can feel good. Controlled fear experiences where you can click your remote, close the book, or walk out of the haunted house whenever you want, offer the physiological high that fear triggers without any real risk. And when you perceive yourself under threat, adrenaline surges in your body and evolutionary fight or flight response is activated. Your heart rate increases. You breathe deeper and faster. Your blood pressure goes up. Your body is preparing to defend itself against the danger or get away as fast as possible. This physical reaction is crucial when facing a real threat. When experiencing controlled fear, like jump scares or in a zombie TV show, you get to enjoy this energized sensation similar to a runner's high without any risk. And then Once the threat is dealt with, your body releases the neurotransmitter dopamine, which provides sensations of pleasure and relief. So, in one study, researchers found that people who visited a high intensity haunted house as a controlled fear experience displayed less brain activity in response to stimuli and less anxiety post exposure. So, the finding suggests that exposing yourself to horror films, scary stories, or suspenseful video games can actually calm you afterward. Hmm. The effect might also explain why this person says her husband and her chooses to relax by watching a zombie show after a busy day at work. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? It says here that also the ties that bind. An essential motivation for human beings is a sense of belonging to social group. And according to the Surgeon General, Americans who miss those connections are caught up in an epidemic of loneliness, which leaves people at risk for mental and physical health issues. So going through intense fear experiences together strengthens the bonds between individuals. So like good examples include veterans who serve together in combat, survivors of natural disasters, families created in groups of first responders. That's pretty interesting. So really, it's pretty much all about that adrenaline rush. And once that adrenaline rush is there, then you're safe. Then the dopamine kicks in, and it's like, wow, that was crazy. That was crazy. It's an interesting theory. Certainly makes sense from a physiological argument, doesn't it? Okay. Yeah, I don't want to talk about I'm trying to find this. Yeah, that's cryptids there. There was this is a really listen to this. I want to share this with you, everybody. This is really interesting. I'm going to show you the picture here because I did get the picture. Hopefully, it's going to work. I don't know, but this is by Francesca Benson. Benson. A face on Mars, photographed by NASA's Mars Perseverance rover. Now, it's not the face that you're thinking about. But when I see this picture, this is intriguing, and I'm going to show it to you in a minute. So again, this is by Francesca Benson. So every now and then, the various robots NASA has placed on Mars find an unusual rock or feature. After all, that is partly what they're there for. Pretty fascinating that they're still actually going on. These finds can be interesting, like a donut-shaped rock that may not be from the planet, or very interesting, by the way, like the incredibly unusual striped rock Perseverance recently found while climbing the Jezero crater. And they can also be a little silly, sending conspiracy theories and people who haven't heard of pareidolia yet into frenzies. Pareidolia is when you're able to look at clouds and you say, look, there's a star or there's a mouse. And the person's saying, where? Right there. That's pareidolia. But it's pretty interesting. One of the latest rocks to capture people's attention, and this was recent, earning NASA's Image of the Week for September 22nd to 28th, 2024, in a public vote, is one that looks sort of like a human head. Kind of, or maybe sort of like maybe even Bigfoot. And while fun to look at, the rock is less scientifically interesting than many other rocks found on the planet. But let me just share this because to me, it's pretty darn close. Let me see if I can. Hopefully, I have it. I do. Let's turn this off. Take a look at that. Oh, I don't want to take a picture. I've already have a picture, you dumb phone. Okay. Look. So there are the eyes. There's the nose. And there's the mouth. And you can see here, it almost looks like a hand. Isn't that fascinating? Let me show you. No, it really is. It's fascinating. Oh, it took another picture. So there's the eyes right here. You see the eyes, and here's the nose. Sorry, I've got to do it backwards right there. The nostrils, the mouth, and here's like a little hand right here. This really does look like a face. I mean, it does. And this was picked up by one of the rovers on Mars. There it is. If you missed it. Yeah, this is from Mars. This is an actual picture, and this was uh, NASA, yeah, because people voted for. So for those of you who don't know, again, it is. Let's see, find it here. So earning NASA's image of the week. All you got to do is Google it. Go NASA's image of the week for week 189 for 189. That's September 22nd, 28, 2024. So it's recent. So again, NASA's image of the week for week 189, and you'll see it. Let me just do a double. Let's see, NASA's image of the week for week 189. Enter. Yep, and there it is right there. Yeah, you'll see it. It comes up there. Just scroll down. Yep, there it is. It does. I mean, it does look. Honestly, it looks like to me. I don't know. That's kind of. It is kind of. See. So you got the eyes, you got the nostrils, you got the mouth, and it looks like a hand right in front of it. That's pretty. That's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. I mean, now you can say that's pareidolia, and you can say that's something that can be explained, et cetera, et cetera. But nonetheless, that is still pretty cool. Thank you. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. So, but that's pretty neat, isn't it? I think it is. So check that out. You can look that up online, but to me, it looks like it. I do believe that there's alien life, only because. Let me just check here. Let's see the rocket. Okay, there was a recent rocket. To kind of give you an idea. Oh, so here it is. Now listen to this, everybody. Just listen. NASA's Europa Clipper. This is why I believe that there's something. There has to be something. There has to be, and I'll tell you why. Someone was asking, "Do I believe in aliens?" Look, here's the deal. Well, thank you there, Jan. I appreciate that. But listen to this. NASA's Europa Clipper. I'm a huge NASA fan. I went to space camp as a kid, so I'm kind of a nerd. But it recently launched this past month, and it's going to Jupiter. So it's going to Jupiter. Do you know that it's not going to get to Jupiter until April of 2030? April, that isn't, think about that. And I'm going to do this just because I'm a big nerd. Traveling. It's usually sometimes 40,000 miles per hour. So let's see by the numbers. That's what I want. Show me by the numbers. So the spacecraft carries 9 science instruments and gravity experiments. Okay, fine. Has 24 engines. Good. Extends 100 feet this Europe. It actually spins that's big. I'm trying to find out. It's going to be there 2030. So mission planners are sending Europa Clipper past Mars and then Earth using the planet's gravity as a slingshot to add speed to the spacecraft. Okay, after journeying 1.8 billion miles. The spacecraft will fire its engines to enter orbit around Jupiter in 2030. 1.8 billion with a B, a billion miles. That is insane. Usually, craft like this flies about 42,000 miles per hour. So if you got to think about it, 42,000 miles per hour, and it's not going to get to Jupiter until 5.5 years later. I mean, that is just, and that is in our solar system alone. In our solar system. And it's still not 5.5 years later. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So Europa will travel 2.9 billion kilometers, about 1.8 billion miles. Okay. It will first to Mars in 4 months and then back to Earth for gravity. Okay. Flyby 2026. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is insanity. That is insanity. Yeah. But if you think about how fast it is traveling and it's going to take that long. Well, I think we've already done it. Well, we've already done the Voyager, Voyager and Voyager 2. We've already launched those quite some time ago. Matter of fact, one of them has already left the solar system. That was, I believe, 1978 or something like this, where we launched that. So it's pretty fascinating. Um, yeah, that's just crazy, isn't it? Hmm. Yeah. Interesting. By the way, speaking of Halloween, let's talk about Halloween for just a brief moment because we just did. Uh, there are there's other eight celebrations around the world that we kind of talked about the Halloween. So let's talk about what they do in other countries and if they celebrate Halloween. Well, some do, and not Halloween is in our ideology, but in Japan, and I know I'm mispronouncing because I don't speak Japanese, but I'll do the best I can. There is a festival called Setsubun. Setsubun. So Setsubun, which means seasonal division, it's a centuries old annual Japanese festival to welcome spring to drive out evil demons. Roasted soybeans, uh, but basically they're fortune beans, are thrown around the house to cries of demons out, happiness in. And to add to the fun, adult family members and sometimes even school teachers don foursome, and they put that don means they're putting on. So they're putting on fearsome demon masks and pretend to terrorize the neighborhood. And it's up to the children to chase and pelt them with magic beans. Like so many festivals, not just spooky ones, food plays an important part in Satsumon. So that's one thing that they do. This, and by the way, this article is from Matt Ralph's Smithsonian. There's another festival. We talked about Dia de los Muertos. That's in Mexico. We've talked about that already. In Catalonia, that's interesting. It's throughout the years of a Catholic Saint Day. It's one of the noisiest, brightest, and most exciting spooky festivals in the world. It's also a little bit dangerous. It begins after dark. People gather expectantly on the streets or gaze from their windows. And then the performers arrive, all garbed in red devil costumes, complete with horns and pitchforks, covered in sparkling fireworks. Thank you. Drummers beat time, firecrackers burst and fizz, and demons cavort and dance. This is called celebrated in Catalonia throughout the year on Catholic Saint Day, Correfoc, Correfoc. If you want to look this up and do your own research, Correfoc or Correfoc, Correfoc in Catalonia. So it's believed that these rituals parties date back to a type of medieval Catalonian street theater called Devil's Dance. And these religious performances include angels as well as devils and represented the eternal battle between good and evil. Nowadays, the emphasis is on fun because spectators can get close to the performers in order to run with the fire. Well, that's interesting. An element of risk, too. Well, that's interesting. The dragons are perhaps the most dramatic part of this Correfoc, controlled by people inside them. These huge costumes are covered with fireworks to make them look like real beasts, spitting out fire and brimstone. There's another one called Aruru Odo. It's in Nigeria. Again, these are other countries celebrating kind of Halloween festivals, if you will. Aruru Odo in Nigeria. So in some eerie festivals, the dead who return from the other side are to be feared, avoided, or appeased to stop them from going to harm the living. But this is not the case of during Aruru Odo. So the festival is celebrated by the Igbo, most of whom live in Nigeria, the Igbo people. The Igbo believe that those who have passed away remain as protective spirits who guide the living along their way. And for several months, every 2 years, they return from the afterlife to live with their families again. This happy visitation occurs between September and November. To represent the spirit's return, men dress in masks and plant fiber costumes and dance through the streets accompanied by drums and xylophones. And once the spirits have settled into their family homes to live and share meals as honored guests, more living relatives travel from far and wide to bring gifts and pay their respects. But bitterness must balance the sweet, and soon enough it's time for the spirit to depart again. They do so accompanied by their prayers and good wishes for their host. That's pretty. See, it's so fascinating to learn about different cultures. We may not agree, and that's fine, but it's still pretty fascinating to me. So these are, again, Halloween festivals. So when I saw him, I knew he was, yeah. There's a lot of people who are saying that they're demonologists doing some things he shouldn't be doing. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. In Nepal, and I'm not even going to try to, Guy Jatra, or Jatra. It's in Nepal. So this festival usually occurred around August and September as a joyful celebration, but it's rooted in tragedy. See, the 17th century, the son of King Malla was unalived by an elephant. Desperate to comfort his grieving wife, Malla asked anyone in his kingdom who had lost a family member to dress up and perform a light-hearted parade for her. And upon seeing her subjects laugh and joke in spite of their sadness, the queen drew enough strength to find some cheer in her heart. And so this festival was born and has been celebrated ever since. There's also something in New Zealand, and there's Haiti. There's all kinds of, there's so many festivals. In Haiti, it's interesting. It's called Fête Gidi or Gidi. It's celebrated by followers of the Voodoo religion on the Caribbean island of Haiti. And like many spooky festivals, this begins on November the 1st, can last all month, is a time to remember the dead. But this is far from a sad occasion. Rather, it's more of a joyful celebration of the lives lived by those who have passed on. Revelers gather to dance, play music, and take part in vibrant parades. Processions usually end at cemeteries where people place food, including fried food and grilled sweet corn, sweet cakes, drink, and they light candles and place them on the graves. Because adherents to the Voodoo religion, a belief in the spirits called Iwa, who can be asked for help or protection in troubled times. So anyway, it's just fascinating how so many different cultures do different things on Halloween or the Halloween season. Okay, so if you have questions, you're more than welcome to jump in, and we can kind of go from there. We'll do this tomorrow. I'll keep this one for tomorrow, because we'll do this tomorrow, because I have some articles that we're going to be doing tomorrow. We're looking forward to that, and I'll do this one tomorrow about the moon. That's a really interesting article too, but we'll have to wait for tomorrow on that. Okay. Well, hello, welcome. Oh, by the way, aliens. Let's talk a little bit about aliens, because for those of you, well, thank you very much. Thank you, Kelly. And thank you for those who are offering gifts to the ministry. Thank you for that. This is really fascinating. For those of you who love aliens, you might want to listen to this one. You might want to listen, because this is pretty cool. That's okay. But so listen to this. This is Justin Walker. Justin Walker writes this. It's Investigation Alien. It's a Netflix documentary featuring George Knapp, set for November release. For those of you who like alien documentaries, etc., a trailer for Investigation Alien, the forthcoming docu-series set to make its debut on Netflix in November, dropped, marking the first glimpse the public has had at the long-developing project. 8 News Now Chief Investigation George Knapp plays a pivotal role in the series that seeks the truth about non-human intelligence interacting with humans on Earth. Quote, "We need to get beyond the obvious question, are UFOs real, to what really matters. Why are they here?" Knapp says in the trailer, "We can handle it, can't we?" So in the trailer, Knapp, known by some as a UFO reporter, runs down the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, and it's used to investigate unidentified anomalous phenomena, which is UAP. Well, thank you there, Sally. The documentary promises new evidence and witness testimony. Now, a Netflix description calls Investigation Alien a paranormal docu-series where renowned UFO reporter George Knapp investigates new evidence, interviews an array of experts, and meets with emerging witnesses who are fully willing to go on the record. For those of you who are interested in this, excuse me, Investigation Alien, this docu-series, it starts on November the 8th. Netflix. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have friends from all walks of life, and I don't judge people here, and we don't allow people to judge others. You know, we all. I love cultures. I learn different cultures. I love learning different cultures, different perspectives. That to me is fascinating. I don't see this as evil at all. So yeah, you're more than welcome to join us. Well, that's it. Yeah, the Balloon Festival in Helen, Georgia, releasing their energy. Also, New Mexico native of Indians, dance warriors, ancestors, and reincarnation to draw from the essence of the ancestors. Wow, pretty cool. That's really interesting. But I think that's fascinating because there are too many people. There are too many people who say that they are seeing these things, and it's interesting how um, more and more people are talking about this. So something is going on. I don't know what that is, but something clearly is going on. Did you hear this story? Oh yeah, listen. My grandparents were Cherokee. Thank you. So people, so many people judge, the Native Americans and they're pagans and all this other nonsense. My grandmother, my grandfather were both Christians, and so it's just that kind of stuff. I love people from all walks of life because I love learning different cultures, and that's really important to learn. Now, we may not necessarily agree with one another, but we should be able to respect, be adult enough to say, well, that's interesting, or that's interesting. I think many times, we know what one thing. Here's what I have found. This is what I have found. When you are open-minded and when you're willing to learn different cultures, number one, I think that's a sign of intelligence, with all due respect. But I also think when you find so many different cultures, and even though we're so different, we're also so very relatable, and which I think is fascinating. My father's side was on my my biological father. Okay, listen, this is crazy. This is crazy. So I'm glad you're Nicole had. So I'm back. I had to get some popcorn. Good. Well, welcome. I'm glad that you enjoying this so much that you need some popcorn. Good for you. Chop down. Have you heard this story? This is cray. How in the world did this happen? This is by T.K. Randall. It is a mystery as a dog was spotted on top of the Great Pyramid of Giza. How did this happen? Well, here's why I say this. An unexpected tourist was recently captured on camera. Well, thank you. On camera at the very top of Egypt's tallest pyramid. So here's why it's interesting, because given their step-like outer structure and impressive height, the Egyptian pyramids have become a bit of a magnet over the years for thrill seekers looking to climb right to the top. It's an act, by the way, that is strictly forbidden by Egyptian authorities, so don't do it. But some tourists caught trying to climb up the walls have received jail sentences. Well, thank you. And some have been barred completely from entering the country altogether. That's how serious this is. But when paramotorist, that's a person on a little, glider, if you will, Alex Lang was passing near the pyramids on a recent flight, it wasn't a tourist that he spotted standing on the very top, not a human tourist. There, wandering around the topmost stones of the Great Pyramid, was a dog. So he quickly ascertained that the animal was barking at some bird perched nearby, but it was unclear what had compelled the dog to actually climb all the way to the top in the first place. And when the footage was shared online, it generated a great deal of interest as well as significant, obviously, concern for the well being of the animal. Now, as things stand, however, Egyptian officials have yet to comment on the incident. But I saw this. You can go on YouTube and type in dog spotted on top of Egyptian pyramid. And this is the highest pyramid in Egypt. And the reason is it's making such news is because it hasn't happened before. I mean, animals don't just say, well, let's just go up this very big. I mean, there has to be, I know, it's pretty fascinating. So, right. And you would also think they would have security cameras or something. But the fact that this dog decided to just hop on up. So I don't know. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Right. Now, if you love space like I do, and I do, I don't think I'd be interested in this. I don't think so. I don't think so. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This, my friends, is by Jamie Harris. And Jamie Harris is an assistant technology and science editor. Well, out of this world, it says, thank you. Out of this world, inside the world's first private space station. It looks more like a luxury hotel. This is a thing, guys. This is a thing. So move over ISS. That means International Space Station for those of you in Kentucky. Sorry, I'm in Kentucky. I'm allowed to say that. So move over ISS. Startup VYING vying. VYING. So folks, look, here's the deal. If they're successful and you invest in vying, you're going to be a multimillionaire by the time they make this work. I'm giving you a heads up right now. I remember when I first heard of SpaceX. When I first heard of them, I thought, man, if I had enough money, I would invest in that company because that company is going to make a lot of money. Because this was a first privately owned company because at that time, NASA was in big trouble because of the space shuttle situation, because it was just nothing was happening. For years, nothing. We actually had to jump on this true story. We had on Russia. Russia was sending our astronauts up to the International Space Station because we basically stopped the shuttle issue because there were so many issues, especially with the last unfortunate situation with the Discovery. So we were actually, getting hit. We were hitchhiking off Russia's rockets. We're not doing that now. But SpaceX, I remember when it first came out, and I said, man, if I had the money, I would invest in that because that company is going to explode. Well, this is interesting. If they actually are able to do this company is called Vying, VYING. And it says here, and so there's a little bit more information for those of you who are interested. It says Haven 1. It is vying is to become the world's first commercial space station and has revealed the stunning interior lucky visitors can expect. Haven 1 is what it's called. Feels more like a luxury hotel with sleek wood veneer slats, soft and padded white walls, a gym space, and private rooms for featuring entertainment and online communication tech to contact home. So there are 4 private room quarters, each with a built-in storage compartment, vanity, and a custom amenities kit. But crucially, creators Vast have worked on improving sleep for space inhabitants, which can be uncomfortable for astronauts due to weightlessness. So experts have developed a signature sleep system that is roughly the size of a queen-size bed with a customized amount of equal pressure throughout the night. And it adjusts whether you're a side or back sleeper. Quote, this is interesting. It says it inflates, creating the equal pressure up against you, which allows for a beautiful, comfortable night's rest. A common area is at the station's core with a deployable table and a domed window viewing spot. So the images, by the way, are final designs of now Haven 1 will eventually look, though they're just mock-ups for now. Visitors, I don't know if I believe this, but visitors could be staying on board as soon as 2026. Thank you. That's only a couple years from now. So the firm is hoping to launch the station with SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket no earlier than August 2025. And Andrew Fussell, a veteran NASA astronaut who has spent more than 225 days in space on the ISS, helped advise VAST on the developing the Terror. Says, I've flown 3 missions to space, and we are learning from those experiences and innovating to improve the way we can live and work on a space station. By the way, space fans will be able to stay on a station for up to 30 days, but it is unclear how much a trip will cost, given that a seat on board a SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft up to the ISS can cost around $55 million. Haven 1 might also be for the mega wealthy, you think? So anyway, it's not going to be, if you're mega wealthy, if you're really rich, then you have a shot. But I'm not going on there. I'm not, unless they say, now Bishop Long, we need a clergy member to go up there. Would you be willing to do it? Sure, absolutely. I think it'd be interesting for 30 days. I would do it for 30 days. Sure. I mean, look, even if SpaceX contacted me, the Dragon space, if they contacted me and said, Bishop Long, would you like to go in SpaceX, the Dragon spacecraft up to the ISS? Absolutely. Let's go. I don't have $55 million. I have 55 cents. I have $5. Sure, absolutely. Here's $5. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. It would be neat to experience that. But anyway, so that's another fascinating. Yeah. Hey, I would have a story to tell you guys when I came back. That's for sure. Yeah. Maybe Mr. Producer behind the scenes. Maybe Mr. Producer can pick up the tab for us. That would be pretty nice. Mr. Producer, that would be nice. Take one for the team, Mr. Producer. Okay? Take one for the team. That's okay. I believe in you. So Mr. Producer said yes. He said yes, he's going to pick up the $55 million tab. Take one for the team, sir. And so we'll be rocking and rolling and airing live on KGRADB radio. Until I say, what does this button do? Leave it alone. Okay. In Kentucky, good old Kentucky, where we go to family reunions to meet our future husbands and wives. I live in Kentucky. I'm allowed to say that. This is by Alex Camino. This is really cool. And there is a video out there, guys. I encourage you to check it out. There's a chilling video. It captures Bigfoot noises in Kentucky woods amid spate of unexplained sightings. Pretty cool. A Bigfoot investigator has shared incredible new audio of what he believes are sounds made by the mysterious beast as it roams the woods in Kentucky. For over 3 decades, Charlie Raymond, 57 years old, a Florida native, has meticulously documented over 700 sightings of the elusive creature in his new home state of Kentucky. He went on to establish the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization after college, and the calls have flooded ever since. Maybe I need to contact him. Hey, Charlie Raymond, come on, let's contact. I would like to do a Bigfoot investigation. Yeah, that's right. Who knows? Maybe Elon is watching. There we go. Elon, I'm your guy. Okay, Elon? If you're watching, give me a call. You can call the 502-531 number that's on my website. I'll answer if it says Elon Musk. I'll do it. And you can say, hey, you want to go on? Sure, let's go. Come on. Let's go on. Let's hop on that rocket. Let's go. Yeah, Mr. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, Mr. Producer says that Mr. Producer needs a raise. Is that what it is? Okay. But speaking exclusively to Daily Mail, he said, I quote, I would spend sometimes 2 hours on the phone where people would thank me for listening because their own families did not believe them. And he said, that's when I realized there's something to this. Now, while Raymond predominantly focuses on analyzing other people's Bigfoot reports, he's also collected his own recordings of mysterious sounds in the forest near where he lives near Pine Ridge. Pine Ridge is beautiful. And there's a lot of woods in Pine Ridge. In one clip, a loud whooping sound can be heard. There's a lot of people who are Bigfoot researchers that say that these animals will, imitate like whoop, whoop, like that kind of thing. So, the demonic Armor X profile pic. I have no idea what you're talking about. Elon's demonic Armor X profile. I don't. Let me see what you're referring to. I don't have no idea. Let's see. Elon Musk Armor X profile. This is interesting. Okay. Elon Musk wears a satanic suit of armor at red carpet event, and this is on X. This is on his platform that he owns. Let's see. Well, I mean, yeah, it is demonic. Yeah. Elon, what are you doing? Elon, what are you doing? Come on, Elon, what are you doing? Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he celebrated Halloween by. Okay, that's kind of dumb. So for those of you who have no idea what they're referring to, I had no idea. Thank you for sharing this. So Elon celebrated. Elon, I'm not going on your SpaceX. I'm sorry. I am recruiting myself. You just lost it, buddy. That's the way it goes. So you can keep your $55 million. So, Mr. Producer, you're off the hook. So listen, it is kind of crazy. Why would you do this? Elon Musk celebrated Halloween by dressing in a satanic suit of armor, complete with a Baphomet skull and inverted cross. Pretty dumb. The Tesla CEO and new owner of Twitter donned the new costume while walking the red carpet of Heidi Klum's Halloween party, where she infamously dressed up in Lovecraftian worm suit. Okay. Anyway, the tech billionaire and meme lord attended the Halloween party with his mom, who posed next to her son in a photo tweeted by Musk. The pic quickly shot over 1 million likes. But yeah, I mean, sorry, but it is. The suit was designed by leather master Dale Caldwell in New York store Abracadabra, New York City. Reportedly retails the suit for a whopping $7,500. Elon, what the hell? I'll make you a suit for $1,000 and look. Sorry. Anyway, so website Indie 100 noted that certain conservative Christians shared their outrage by the satanic nature of Musk outfit. Elon Musk recently purchased Twitter for a reported $44 billion. Kiss Paul Stanley reacted on the social media platform, "I may be missing something. Please tell me. Rather than funding a personal acquisition, wouldn't our world be better advanced by using far less than $44 billion to eradicate world hunger, cure cancer? List is long and the possibility endless." Okay, so he's not a fan of Twitter. Ted Nugent claims he's suspicious of Musk's buyout of Twitter. Okay, we don't care about that. We're talking about this suit. Yeah, I mean, it is. I'm sorry, that it is. There's no other way around it. There's no way to. There's no. It is. It's satanic. That's sorry, but that's the way it is. I don't know why you'd wear that. Let me see if I can. And if you can Google this yourself, but I think it is. I certainly do. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Yeah, it's kind of dumb. Well, yeah, thanks for letting me know about this because it is. I mean, it is satanic. And that is Baphomet. That is a symbol of Baphomet. And it's an inverted cross. Look, I'm not I wouldn't consider myself an ultra conservative or any of that stuff, but I look at, yeah, it is. I mean, that is, there you go. That's Baphomet. That's an inverted cross. There you go. There you go. That's a symbol of Baphomet. And there you go. There's the inverted cross. And there's dummy. I mean, why? Thank you for letting me know this. I had no idea. It's pretty stupid. I mean, just see, here's the deal. When you are a billionaire, and you're certainly, he gets a tremendous amount of money from the government. Thank you very much for NASA and the government, and obviously for you have to be respectful and you have to think. And not only that, but you're representing this multi-billion-dollar companies, and then the CEO and the owner of these said companies are going around wearing a demonic outfit, and that's what it is. I don't know. It's a good question. Why would he do that? I just think. Because see, you got to understand that he's representing all these companies. And thank you, Mr. Producer. And that to me is just dumb. That's irresponsible. That is demonic. Yes, that's all there is to it. That's demonic. There is no other way to say it. Look, I love Halloween, but I'm not going to go around dressed as Satan. Man, it's a costume. That is, but That is Baphomet. That is specific. And that is a form of invocation. Let no one, I'm telling you that, look, and I'm open-minded. I'm open-minded. But when you go around wearing a symbol of Baphomet with an upside-down cross, and you're the CEO of multi-billion-dollar companies, that's a stupid decision. That's just a stupid decision. I mean, it's amazing how some of the most brilliant minds can do some of the dumbest things. Pretty fascinating. Yeah, pretty fascinating. Anyway, so for those of you on, I'm going to have to, unfortunately, for those of you on Spreaker, I'm going to have to say goodnight to you guys. It went by too fast. There we are. It's done. It's done. Okay, for those of you who are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, KGRDB Radio, and Rumble, and I'll stay with you guys for just a little bit on TikTok. Remember, my friends, I'll tell you all the time, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You are priceless, and don't let any troll tell you or convince you otherwise. Good night, and we'll see you guys soon. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.